a step-by-step look into how I closed my first 5-figure design client. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, let me introduce myself really quickly for those of you who may not know who I am. My name is Crudup, and I am a self-taught brand and website designer turned coach who has built a 7-figure design business from the ground up, and now I am obsessed with helping other designers do the same thing. So let's go ahead and dive in, because I know y'all trying to get these 5-figure design clients as well. Because they exist, right? They exist. And I think for me, so let me kind of take it back, because I had to reflect, and I have notes in front of me because this was actually a little while ago. It was in 2018. So March of 2018 is when I really hit rock bottom in my design business. So in my brand and web design business. So the year prior, I shifted over from wedding stationery into brand and web design. And from 2017 to 2018, I just wasn't doing things right in my business. It was a hot mess. Like, my clients were in control. I never knew when I was gonna get a client, so I never knew when I was gonna get money. Never knew when I was gonna get paid. So that was very stressful. And as a result, because I was constantly in survival mode. I was constantly in hustle mode because I had to support my family, right? Like, I'm an adult with kids and a husband, and we have responsibilities. And so this mentality of, oh my gosh, I got to pay some bills, I got to make some money, it made me do things that aren't really business savvy. So I would put on $500 website sales, and this particular one I'm talking about in March of 2018, I sold 6 of them. So I made $3,000, and on top of that, I already had a bunch of clients who I wasn't getting the work for, like the content from them, right? So I was terrified that all of these clients were going to come to me at the same time and be like, Amber, I'm ready to start on my project, and I was going to be scrambling because I had a ton of clients, and I had no like expectations in place, no boundaries, no timelines, nothing like that. So I was really at the mercy of my clients, and that was terrifying to me. So that was kind of the backstory. That was the thing that prompted me was, okay, I'm about to have a ton of projects, and I'm not going to be able to handle this. So I was like, I have to figure out how to get my business under control. So this was the first step, actually, to me being able to land a 5-figure design client, was being over my own crap, getting over my own way of doing business, because that was really holding me back. So in March of 2018, I had to take a deep dive look into my business, into my services. I had to look at what was I actually doing, and I had to create some system, some process, some structure so that I could make this thing work. And so in doing that, in that deep dive, I really got clear on the value that I actually was bringing to my clients. I was able to take a step back and look at, like, what are the results that I'm helping my clients to get, and then that helped me to look at, well, what should I include in my packages? And then also looking at the result allowed me to determine the actual value, because as I reflected on how I was actually helping my clients, I was noticing a trend. So I would take my clients through a process that would allow them, let me back up. So I had to develop the process first. And once I did that, I was able to notice that my clients were becoming sought after experts themselves. They were attracting dream clients. They were showing up differently, because in deep diving and looking at my packages, I realized I was focusing too much on the visuals versus the strategy and the real foundation. And so that deep dive allowed me to create a process that would get repeatable results again and again and again, which would allow me to position myself as a go-to for those repeatable results. So that was step number one. I had to first look at what I was doing and ask myself, like, is this in alignment? Are my prices in alignment? And they weren't. I wasn't charging enough, and I was struggling, honestly, to sell at that low price. And really it was because I didn't have any structure in place. I wasn't confident in myself in the first place to be able to sell. So I didn't. I didn't really sell at the higher price point, so I would have to put on those discounts. And that was the cycle that I was on, which again ultimately prompted this deep dive look, which allowed me to really see the true value that I can bring to the table. So that was number one, first step in how I closed my first 5-figure design client. So second step was, once I actually got clear on the value that I was providing, I then realized, okay, the price has to change. The price has to go up. And something that I did notice in the more like elevated clients that I was working with is that they didn't mind paying top dollar for something if they saw it as valuable. Okay, and so I had to get clear on how valuable what I was doing for my clients actually was, so that I could then have a price tag that matched it, because those high paying clients also realized the thing that they want, the result that they want, comes at a certain price point. And so by not charging enough, it was actually, I was repelling those high paying clients because they didn't see value in me because I was already priced too low. So I had to get clear on the value I was providing and then attach a price tag that matched it. Okay, so this was the way that I was able to get to a 5-figure package, was because I created a process that got my clients results, and then I looked at the results they were getting and I determined what that value was in order to be able to put a price tag to it. Okay, and that's how I was able to confidently say that price, because that was step number 3, is I had to say the price once I had decided on it. And I think I went from a 3K package to a 10K package, and that, you know, the math was mathing, all the work that I was putting in, the results they were getting, like the price made sense. I just had to say it, and that was something, like that was a story in and of itself, just kind of getting to that place where I could fix my face to say it cost $10,000 to work with me. Like that was hard to do, but I knew that's what it was gonna take. Like that was the thing that I needed to do in order to get someone to say yes. So I decided, you know, that it was it was necessary, right? And really, I had to look at my money mindset. I realized during this part of the process that I didn't have a really good relationship with money. I grew up in like a scarcity kind of mindset around money. I used to hoard money. If I got it, like I never let it go. And so I had to come to this realization that I was bringing in bad money vibes into my business, and my own like disbelief around money, that someone would pay me this amount, I was projecting that onto people, and I was essentially self-sabotaging, like getting in my own way, and kind of talking them out of it because I didn't even believe it. So that was something that I definitely had to address, was my own money mindset, because your money will always match your mindset. So that was, let's see, what step was that? Step number 1, I took a deep dive look at the services that I was offering, and I got really clear on the value that I was providing. Number 2, once I got clear on the value, then I realized the price had to change, so I changed the price. Number 3, once I decided on the price, all I had to do was say it. So the next step was saying it, and that happened on the next sales call that I had. So it was with a dream client. She was a female attorney. She had her own firm. She had some templates, and she wanted to create a course, and like all the things that like I love doing. She was that's what she wanted to do, so she was perfect. So her application came in, you know, I reviewed it, I sent her the email to schedule her call with me because I accepted it, and then I just had to wait for the sales call. And that time between like getting the sales call booked and actually having it was like torture, because I would always find a way to sabotage myself whenever an amazing opportunity would come my way. Never failed, always happened. So I had to really, during this time, look at my patterns and see, like, okay, Amber, what do you typically do in situations like this? Because I knew they didn't end desirably. So I had to kind of reflect on my own actions and look at how that was affecting the results that I was getting. So what I did was I had to change my, again, this is about relationship. I had to change my relationship with selling, with sales calls, right? So instead of going into this sales call putting a lot of pressure on myself, I really thought about, this is just an opportunity for me to see if I can help her. I had to tell myself, I'm not selling anything. All I am doing is getting on a Zoom call with someone who is someone I would love to work with and love to help. So during this call, I'm just going to see if I can help you. And if I can, then I'm going to position an offer. And that's exactly what I did. So moving on to the next step. So first was managing the thoughts and maintaining a certain mindset while I was waiting for this sales call to actually, the day to come. And then once the sales call came, of course, I was super nervous. I tried to, of course, not hide it and just really embody that, that thought around selling is I'm not actually trying to sell anyone anything. I just want to see if I can help you. And if I can, here's how I can do it. Let me know if this sounds like what you're looking for. So when it came to the sales call, I actually followed, if you have the Profit Ready workshop, or if you've seen that, there's a sales script in there, and this is the exact sales script that I followed. So came to the sales call, there was a short little intro, and then I asked her about her business, what's going on, basically like, how did we get here? What have you tried? Where are you trying to go? Really just so I could get all the information I needed to understand her problem, to understand her, her frustrations in her business, and also what is it that she wanted this rebrand to do for her business? What did she see? Like, what was she thinking? Once I do this rebrand, I'll be able to X. That's what I was listening for, okay? So I let her talk for about 10 or 15 minutes, and after I had all of the details that I needed, it was then my job to take the information and then position myself and my offer, my design services, as a solution to her problems. And that's exactly what I did. So I told her what it would look like to work together. And I made sure to infuse words and phrases from her. Things that she said in the first part of this sales call, I was repeating back to her during the pitch part of this sales call, just to reiterate to her that, hey, this thing that I have to offer is going to help you with the exact thing that you are struggling to solve, or it's going to help you get to that exact place that you're trying to go. So I asked, I told her what it would look like to work with me. I asked her, does this sound like exactly what you need? Of course, I didn't stutter like this. But I asked her, so does this sound like what you need? And she was like, yes. So I said, awesome. The investment is just $10,000. And then I shut up. I stopped talking. And that is a key part to making this work is, a lot of times we get uncomfortable and then we start talking and then it just goes downhill from them. So a key part of actually converting this 5-figure design client was saying the price and then being quiet. And after a couple moments of silence, she was like, okay, let's do it. I know you're worth it. And I was like, okay. So I had to get my own composure together because she just blew my mind. But it really was that simple. But it was simple, but it was very strategic. So I wanted to, okay, let me finish the story before I tell you my big takeaways. So so after she told me yes, then I said, she was like, yes, you know, I know you're worth the investment. I was like, okay, awesome. Got my composure together. Then I proceeded to tell her what the next steps were. Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and set an expectation, set the tone of what it would be like to work together, to let her know how, you know, how structured this process was going to be. Then I followed it with a proposal, which this was on a Friday, I do remember, and she replied to it, and she was going to take the weekend to look over it, and she signed on Monday. So that was what it looked like, step by step, look into me actually landing my first 5-figure design client. So I did jot down a couple of big takeaways that I wanted to share with you, and so there's 4 of them. As it relates to landing your first design client, these big takeaways, I guess you could call them tips. Number 1 is you have to see your own value. If you don't see your value, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't think that you're an expert, if you don't think that you have something to bring to the table, you are going to have a really hard time getting anyone else to believe it. So that was number 1. I had to see my own value. Number 2, once I saw my value, that's one thing, I then had to be able to be brave enough to say the price that reflected the value that I brought to the table. So that took a little bit, right? Like I had to really work on my money mindset to even fix my face to say it costs $10,000 to work with me. The next takeaway is a big one. I had to believe that someone would pay me this much. Okay, and that was really hard because I was not my ideal client in that sense. I wouldn't pay $10,000 to have the service done that I provide because I could do it myself. So I really had to get out of my own way in that belief that, well, I wouldn't pay for it, why would someone else? But they will, because I have value. I possess a skill that other people are willing to pay good money for. The last takeaway that I had for you was I had to believe that I could do this. Like I actually had to believe that it was possible. Okay, and it kind of goes with number 1 as well, seeing my own value, but just believing that you can do it. The belief that you can actually do something is half of the battle, because once you believe that you can do it, you start to take different types of action that leads to different types of results. Okay? So that was it. That was really the big overview, zoomed out look into that first 5-figure design client that I landed. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that even just kind of sharing how I was feeling, like the mindset issues I was having, these things are normal. So I want you to just kind of think and reflect on your own journey, your own way of doing things, and see, you know, what tweaks do we need to make in order to be in alignment with those high-paying clients. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.